So, I have a confession to make. I really love this game. If you know me and you know this channel, then you're familiar with the fact that every time I found out one of my viewers is a fan of Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, or pretty much any gacha game, I lament their sins and wish for them to grow and change as a person. And I've realized the problem. You were playing Genshin Impact. It's the only service I can give for these lost souls. However, after being bombarded with advertisements for the newest Hoyoverse game Zenless Zone Zero, seeing the gameplay and being given a peek at so many character designs I love outright on top of one of the characters being voiced by Rina, I had no choice but to check out this game. And yeah, only like a week or two after playing, I've beaten the whole story, got both Banner S ranks as soon as they were available, and was such a Hoyo fucker that I tried my best to get every single stamp at the stamp rally at Comic-Con. Of course, knowing my luck, I failed 50-50 when the time came, and I'm forever full of regret. Still have this cool fingerboard though, so it all worked out in the end. But if ZZZ was just a game with hot anime women and really beautiful visuals, I would have probably stopped playing weeks ago. Don't get me wrong, the game is very fun, even if I'm not the best at it. But if it was all fun and spectacle, I don't think I would be as obsessed with it as I am right now. But when I installed this game and took over the Bangboo to save the cunning hares, I realized something immediately. There's way more going on in the world of New Eridu than most people think. On top of the characters being well designed, they're also just super likable overall. Billy Kid is a gunslinging tokusatsu nerd who I wish was better because he's a good android who deserves nothing but the best, but I hate playing as him. Ambi is that classic kudere badass that always catches my eye, and Nicole is a penny-pinching swindler with a heart of gold, and every single character that I was introduced to won my heart in one way or another. From Nekomata learning to trust that the cunning hares were actually good people, to Koleda struggle to reconcile with the broken image of her father, this cast of characters is made even more endearing to me through the story mode that introduces them to you one after another. And it's through this story mode that I gained an appreciation for this game, and what made me curious as to what this game was trying to say. I put out a tweet asking my followers that were playing ZZZ what they thought the story was about, and I got mixed results. Some people gave me their limited thoughts, a few just didn't know or wrote off the idea of the story saying something deeper, and a few even saying that there's no theme right now because there's only 3 chapters of the story. And while, yeah, there's not a full story as of this video being out, I think given the fact that there's this much story already being told, not even counting what we get from trust missions and agent stories, the idea that the story hasn't already told us what the theme is and where the story is going is insane to me. Because from what I've seen and learned, the major themes of ZZZ are apparent from just what's being given to us. And I want to dive into the question that I've been asking myself this entire time I played this story that I've come to love. What is Zenless Zone Zero about? But before we get into that, hi guys, I'm BooSham0. I'm a VTuber who makes videos about anime, tokusatsu, all kinds of different nerd stuff, and I've been recently getting into a lot more gaming content. And if you want to see more like this, more analytical videos, more story-oriented videos like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and leave me a like and let me know in the comments what you think of this and what you'd like to see me cover in the future. I'm actually, as of this video being up, probably streaming ZZZ if it's up when I want it to be. So if you want to see more of those streams, make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of those updates. And if you want to see me working on videos like this, make sure you hit the join button. You get a lot of perks for free. You get to see me editing this entire thing, the process of how I go about it. Maybe you can see that, you know? Yeah, give me money. Anyway, let's get back into the video. ZZZ takes place in New Eridu, a city seen as the last vestige of society that has been corrupted by hollows, giant spatial distortions that are signified by a giant black dome where monsters called ethereals roam. Anything within a hollow is lost to it, and anyone trapped inside will sustain corruption and, if exposed for long enough, eventually become one of the ethereals themselves. Only those with a higher enough ether aptitude can traverse the hollows and take back what has been lost, but often only to find that there isn't much left to be found, if anything at all. But despite this, New Eridu is a thriving city full of commerce and technology. Little robotic devices called Bangboo populate the city, assisting in tasks, being mascots, yet often still sometimes being treated as their own individuals. That's not even mentioning the actual androids that run their own businesses and live their own lives. But this city is only possible because of how business is conducted, thanks to the energy produced from the hollows, as well as how that energy, the foreclosed land, and every tragedy is taken advantage of by corporations that, while they make life possible, trample upon the lives of the less fortunate. This is a world built on salvaging the past, where those in power take advantage of the weak, and where our main cast take the stage. What I find interesting about ZZZ is the aesthetic it goes for. Despite taking place in a futuristic sci-fi world, the game is presented with heavy emphasis on VHS tapes and CRT televisions. In the TV sections of gameplay, the menu and the fact that the main characters Belle and Wise operate out of a VHS rental store is a very interesting choice considering how high-tech everything around them and especially the world of New Eridu is. The significance of this ties into a general theme that surrounds the story of ZZZ, that of what is lost to the past and how we can reconcile it. VHS tapes in our current day are a lost medium. Barely anyone in Gen Z remembers them, and guarantee Gen Alpha doesn't know anything about them. CRT televisions are themselves a retro aesthetic, so the idea of this world having such a connection to them signifies this tie to the past and how we appreciate it in the now. This constant intermingling of retro tech and sci-fi advancement is what makes this world more intriguing, especially since that revisiting of the past plays such a heavy role in the story. ZZZ begins by introducing us to Belle and Wise, two siblings who run Random Play, a video store that sells the aforementioned VHS tapes. However, this is merely a front. In reality, they form the legendary proxy duo known as Faithin. By occupying the body of a Bangboo, they guide people through the hollows through less than legal means by taking commissions through the internet. We are introduced to them guiding the Cunning Hares, a human resource dispatch agency currently attempting to take a strongbox out of the hollow. During this whole ordeal, they lose the strongbox when they are attacked by ethereals, and Belle and Wise are thus tasked with saving them. They manage to finally get the strongbox, but in the process, they get their internet account hacked and are forced to hand their data over to public security and start from scratch. However, in exchange for their efforts, they receive the AI known as Fairy. While this is all just world building and setup, what we're introduced to is the idea of rebuilding what has been lost. Throughout the rest of the story, as a result of you giving your account info to PubSec, you are forced to rebuild your internet account from scratch in order to rebuild your reputation as Faithin. After all, that is Belle and Wise's main source of income. However, by making use of their existing connections, such as their longtime contact with Shepard and the Cunning Hares, they're able to stay afloat. As well as this, they make strides to actually develop Random Play as more than just a front, but an actual successful business. You end up finding that most of the jobs on the internet are just helping people, finding cargo, saving friends, even just helping people do seemingly meaningless things are all things that build your reputation and make people believe in and trust you. This constant theme of trust is seen as well throughout the story going forward, but what we'll come to realize is what the story is saying about trust. This is, of course, obvious with the Cunning Hares, who, despite never making that much money, will still trust Faith and will have their back. But more prominently in the prologue is Fairy. This AI by all means is full of secrets and unknown information, but Belle and Wise still choose to trust Fairy with helping them on their missions. And this, my friends, ties into chapter 1.
There's one more thing we can try. Reset it!
In chapter 1, we are introduced to Nekomata. At first, she seems untrustworthy and seems to be using Nicole and the Cunning Hares for her own purposes. However, after asking for their help with a commission, they get in danger and Nekomata asks Faithin for help. We discover that Nekomata was once part of the Red Fang Gang, an infamous crime organization that occupies the Hollows, but left before the start of the story. She knows what it's like to use and be used, so she was surprised to hear that Nicole and the Cunning Hares went out of their way to save lives. At the same time, a company known as Vision is marketing their services as they expand New Eridu from the damage done by the Hollow. It's discovered that, in order to save costs, Perlman, the CEO, was actually planning on destroying not just the buildings, but the people inside so as to avoid the hassle of relocating. And to Nekomata's surprise, the Cunning Hares prioritize saving these people's lives. Nekomata is the first character introduced that heavily explores the concept of trust. She constantly calls into question the validity of Billy and Ambi's claims that they care about saving lives, saying that when the time comes, they run away and only care about money like everyone else. After all, being in the Red Fang Gang since she was a kid conditioned her to believe that the world was cutthroat and ruthless and everyone can and should only look out for themselves. In fact, the behavior of the immature Billy, aloof Ambi, and the money-hungry Nicole didn't convince her otherwise. But when she discovers that everything they said was true, she realizes the mistake she made in not trusting them, and instead runs to Faithin to do everything she can to save the people trapped in the Hollow as well as the Cunning Hares, earning Ambi's trust in return. And following these events, Nekomata finds a place to belong to as she's accepted by and joins the Cunning Hares. What's apparent from this chapter is the direct comparison of Perlman and Nicole. While they both desire heavy income, Perlman is the textbook example of a cutthroat CEO, willing to throw away the lives of people if it means more income, something that bites him in the ass when the cunning hairs ruin his plan and expose what he was up to. Nicole, while apparent from the events of the story as well as her backstory revealed in her teaser, adores money for what it can give her, but never if it costs the lives of people. Nicole is willing to trust her allies in Ambi, Billy, Faithin, and now Nekomata, even if she at first isn't willing to trust them. But she didn't do so blindly. Just like Bell and Wise didn't blindly trust Nekomata had good intentions when first approaching them. It's a matter of trusting but willing to seek the truth of the person you want to trust, and that trust can lead to salvaging what was lost and can push for what can be done now. This idea of trust and salvaging the past is furthermore explored in the idea of enjoying and appreciating the now. While we see that in the main story, ZZZ gives us more evidence of this in agent stories, side missions that flesh out the different agents you meet in the game to better understand them and further this theme. And what better place to start than with Soldier 11?
New countdown, 4, 3, 2, 1 now.
Soldier 11 is introduced to us as a stern, unyielding drill sergeant. She is currently hiring Faithin, or who she perceives as a random proxy on the internet, to help her discover the whereabouts of a traitor within the new Eridu Defense Force Obsidian Division. In doing so, you learn that Soldier 11 has a history of harshly dispatching traitors in brutal and violent ways. She has every reason to easily distrust, but after working with Faithin, she trusts not blindly, but through your merits that you've shown her. In fact, when she finally pins down the traitor, she shows growth and simply takes the traitor into custody. While Soldier 11 has a past with traitors and people she used to trust that caused her to treat them harshly, the current her has learned from her past and is willing to reevaluate the behavior she takes, aided in her growth with her interactions with Faithin that she trusts not blindly, but because you've earned it. By both parties willing to search for the truth, they come to an understanding that you are able to pursue a better tomorrow. Speaking of which...
Oh, right. You don't get it. Because you're nothing but a despicable traitor.
Nekomata's agent story further breaks down how she is choosing to live her life as she helps a PubSec officer named Ollie solve a case. Despite being in the force for years, he's clumsy, afraid of ethereals, and lacks confidence. But by working with Nekomata and learning from, ironically, a former criminal, he's able to realize his own shortcomings and improve upon them, even going so far as to willingly get kidnapped so Nekomata can help him finish the job. The entire reason Nekomata takes on this commission is because she feels as though she hurt Ambi's feelings from the events of Chapter 1, so she wants to prove her worth as a cunning hair and show she's more serious than they believe. It's clear that Nekomata doesn't think anyone is willing to accept her, even in trust events showing this insecurity by constantly questioning if they see her as a burden. But Ollie is in a similar place, and so both manage to learn from each other that even though they failed in the past, they could earn the acceptance from others because of who they are now. I'm sure that by now the theme of trust is obvious, but there is yet to be a story element that ties into that rebuilding and salvaging what has been lost. For that, we look to Billabong Industries and the young CEO herself.
Told you I could take all you out just by myself.
Nicole recommends Faithin to Anton Ivanov, a member of Billabong Heavy Industries. They are tasked with the renovation project that they originally lost out to from Vision. However, they have a negative reputation due to their former CEO Kors supposedly embezzling money and abandoning his company and family behind. This reputation extends even to its current CEO Koleda Billabong, who resents her father for abandoning her and ruining her vision of the hero she always loved. However, they are tasked with finding the remaining heavy machines that have escaped into the Hollow. What makes Billabong's machines so advanced are their built-in AI that allows them to make better decisions when digging, building, etc. But that AI also made them rampage in the Hollow, as we discover, because they were being called by Kors, or rather, a signal from the prototype that Kors stole when he disappeared. This splits Billabong's Grace and Koleda, as Grace still believes in the Kors she knew and hates how Koleda writes off her father. They eventually decide that regardless of whether or not Kors was good, what matters is the Billabong that's here now and the people that Koleda loves. When going into the town monument, the project that started their bad rep, they discover that the prototype was there, filled with bullet holes and sign of a struggle. Kors not only didn't run away, but was attacked, and was also guarding against something. That ethereal that emerged corrupted the new heavy machinery, leaving only the prototype to defend the group. And as Koleda took her seat behind the wheel, she remembered her father's words that she could name this prototype that would change Belobog's future.
Get moving!
Throughout Chapter 2's story is this idea of trusting in someone despite the bad that you think they've done. Kors by all means had no reason for anyone to believe in him, but Grace still had faith. Koleda should have believed in him, but was far more hurt by the fact that he left her all alone. It was only until they went to the Hollow to reclaim not just Belobog's present tech, but also confront their past that they had finally discovered that Kors was exactly who they always believed in. In order to salvage what has been lost, you have to confront it in order to build towards the future. But doing so is only possible thanks to the people you have around you now. Speaking of those two, they're both elaborated on more in their agent stories.
Hope you'd be proud of what Belobog's become.
What we know of Grace is that she only really seems to care for the machinery. It's all she talks about, and even when confronted by a former classmate and lab partner in Betty, she doesn't seem to care. But when attempted to do more tests on a new AI model, she discovers that Betty has already signed a deal with a model that seems superior and easier to make. However, this is revealed to be stolen tech, and Grace, while blatantly not good with people, still has measures that show she cares. It's not that she only cares about tech, it's that she struggles to understand people but takes them into consideration for safety measures in tech. Sure, she might have made mistakes in the past, but she's always focusing on how she can improve thanks to the efforts of people she cares for.
What a good kid. Welcome back.
In order to discover more about a companion hollow inside of an elementary school that Belobog is doing renovations on, Koleda and Grace disguise themselves to infiltrate. In doing so, Koleda is able to connect to the students who are all dealing with one of their friends having to leave soon. As well as this, one of the students, Emmy, is the daughter of Principal Elton, who seems to be making backdoor deals through the companion hollow. Something that Emmy knows full well. This directly ties to Koleda's relationship with her own father, as both were and are stigmatized as a result of their actions, though Emmy's father actually was guilty. But they both come to the conclusion that Koleda discovered when confronting her father's past. It doesn't matter what happened back then, what really matters is the things you have now and how you can continue to grow.
I don't think what you did was meaningless. After all, me and my classmates are safe now, thanks to you. And I'll grow up too, and I'll get stronger. And become an adult. Not an adult like my dad, but an adult like Koleda.
Speaking of which, there is an interlude that happened to coincide with the release of Zhu Yuan that details more about the PubSec faction. We meet her after Belle and Wise go to renew their driver's licenses as she saves Belle from getting hit by a car. After doing so, it's revealed that she and Qingyi were involved in the recovery of the materials found during Chapter 2, unaware that Belle and Wise are faith in. She is currently trying to get people on 6th Street to come to a public safety meeting held by Inspector Bringer, known as the Hollow Hero. However, none of the residents of 6th are willing to go because of his reputation as a crooked cop. But as Zhu Yuan and Qingyi are shown to make strides to do everything possible to help the people, they come around and go to the meeting because of the trust they built in them. In return, they discover that the evidence that was meant to be delivered to hand was stolen in the Hollow and abandon the seminar in order to get it. Phaethon arrives just in time before they're taken out, and despite Phaethon having a reputation, Zhu Yuan clearly cares more about making sure justice is served and chooses to turn a blind eye if it means the people are saved. They work together and get out and save the evidence as Zhu Yuan gets a call from Hoshimi Miyabi. Once again, for the sake of the people of today, Zhu Yuan is able to fight for a better tomorrow, able to separate the good and the bad. The people in return are able to put their trust in her despite how her superiors have acted in the past.
Saved.
Well, hero, now that you've saved us, do you plan on making an appearance?
All right, we can finally talk.
After discovering Rain, the hacker that Belle and Wise were planning on using to decode the info found within the prototype has gone missing inside the Ballet twins, Dull and Wise go with the cunning hairs to see what's going on. At the same time, Nicole is prepping to go to Perlman's court hearing to speak out against him and can't join the rest of the gang. After they go into the ballet twins to inspect, they discover Victoria housekeeping comprised of Corin, Ellen, Rina, and Lycaon. They are in charge of overseeing the ballet twins for a client and are willing to help after Corin recognizes you and Nekomata. As you work with them to find Rain, you discover as well that she is working with a gang that is attempting to destroy the airship Perlman and the Cunning Hairs are in. Thanks to them working together, they're able to save the day while unfortunately Perlman escapes to the Outer Rim. However, we discover two things. The term sacrifice, which seems to be used to refer to ethereals like the Dead End Butcher, the ethereal within the monument, and now the ballet twins. And now that Lycaon and Rina are spying on us.
Provide them assistance or guidance as needed. They're too involved to keep them out, but perhaps they can become our allies.
There's not a lot you can really gain thematically from Chapter 3, as its purpose aside from the obvious trust thing we've seen so far is mainly plot progression and world building. Inside of the ballet twins, we hear so much about the ballet brothers and how their business went down, which seems eerily tied to the ethereal found within. On top of this, it's meant to progress the Perlman storyline and finish off the Billabong Industries plot and introduce further involvement from Victoria housekeeping. But if we want more character and theming stuff,
One.
Lycaon asks for our help with a strangely named commission to steal from his current employer found on the internet. It's discovered that the thief is Lilac, the Chunibyo daughter of the client who wishes to join Mockingbird, a criminal organization. Lycaon eventually agrees to help after she reveals that she is acting this way in order to get their attention and be more than what everyone around her thinks she is. It's revealed not only that this isn't the real Mockingbird, but that these thugs were planning on using Lilac to get all the money her family has, prompting Lycaon to swoop in and save her, revealing he at one point spoke in the same Chunibyo way she did, thanks to an old friend who started Mockingbird with him long ago. But connecting to Lilac through his past and the connection to her family, he's able to remember a feeling he hadn't in such a long time, gaining trust by revealing this side of himself to connect to it.
Deal? Oh, I made a deal. But not with you.
And we finally come to my favorite of the agent stories, Until Your Memory Fades. In this story, Rina is attempting to help her current client, who she is calling Granny Leisha, find what she keeps referring to as sweet cakes. As you help her and fail to find them, you learn that Rina is doing this because Leisha is her evaluator for the new Eridu Housekeeping Association and wants to do her best. In the process of trying and failing to find the sweet cakes repeatedly, we learn more about Leisha's story. She was once a nurse in the White Waves Hospital caring for the newborns. As well as this, she, like Rina, participated in the Miss Metropolitan pageant and was close to winning, until a hollow disaster swallowed the hospital. She ran in to save the newborns, who she was calling sweet cakes despite the fact that she could become corrupted. She eventually succumbed to cognitive corruption syndrome, which was eating away at her memory, causing her to revert to the day of the hollow disaster. This results in Rina doing everything she can to remind Leisha who she was, even going so far as to reunite her with those babies who were able to live full lives because of her actions. Ironically, Leisha isn't even the evaluator, but this doesn't matter to Rina, who is willing to do this job no matter what. This, I think, best embodies the aspects we've been talking about the whole video. A woman who gave everything in the past to make sure those babies had a future was left alone, only to have someone in the now willing to go and salvage what remained from that past to reunite it with the present. A reminder to try as hard as we can to build a better tomorrow, even if the now seems helpless. This is what I think makes Zenless Zone Zero, its story and its characters, so endearing and impactful to me, and I can't wait to see where it goes.
Now, it's finally their turn to protect you.
Well, I guess I could talk about two more things. As of this video, 1.1 has been released and Qingyi has been added as an S-rank agent, with Jane Doe on the way. I'm probably also failing to roll for her.
I don't know about that.
I'm gonna do it anyway. Oh, come on, you can do it. I believe in you.
You need 22 more?
To get a guarantee. Yeah. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Wait. If Vidge fails a 50-50, I'm actually gonna give up. Let's go!
Oh shit! It's the second time!
Oh my god. With this, her agent story was included, as well as a special episode featuring PubSec and the new S-rank Jane Doe called Undercover R&B. I've already played through it on stream, which you should once again subscribe to the channel and follow me on Twitch to see me play more of, and I figured I should go ahead and discuss them both. Because while one continues the main theme we've seen thus far, there's another theme that I haven't talked about that I figured would be the perfect time to discuss now. While Bell and Wise are about to go to PubSec to update their business asset certification for random play, Qingyi, Zhuyuan, and Seth Lowell are about to participate in an operation to take down the Mountain Lions, a gang led by Razor that continues to escape arrest. Their goal is to take down Jane Doe, their newest member, in order to cripple them. After a number of hostages are taken, including Seth, it's revealed that the plan all along was to introduce a spy to infiltrate the ranks and find where their base actually is. And that spy was Jane Doe. However, it appears that Seth was unaware of this and has seemingly jeopardized the mission with his earnest desire for justice. As you take over from Jane Doe's perspective, you see how she operates by deceiving and tricking everyone around her. Despite her working for PubSec, she knows that the best way to get things done is to lie and betray one's trust. Yet, Seth despises this, constantly urging her and everyone around to turn a new leaf and make an honest effort to live better lives. Jane eventually manages to work her way to get Razor's approval to be a bodyguard, but Seth convinces one of the guards to help the hostages escape, unknowingly throwing a wrench in Jane's plans. Because of Razor's hatred of traitors, this prompts him to command Jane to throw the hostage off the edge. But before he can finish Seth off, Jane proposes that they show PubSec who's boss and finally come out from hiding by killing Seth off in the lion's den. Despite this seeming to have gone in Jane's favor, it turns out that Razor was planning on finishing Jane off as well, as her constant overreaching of authority is directly in conflict with him. Yet Seth, who should have every reason to hate Jane, still protects her and believes she can change. They work together to defeat Razor as Zhuyuan and Qingyi arrive with the guard that threw Jane off the building. While this is yet another example of trust being an integral theme, what's focused on more is betrayal and the earning of trust. Jane spent her entire time deceiving and lying to get her way, yet Seth managed to change the hearts of one of the guards by believing he could change for the better. While both not working together resulted in hiccups in the plan, it was Jane's decision to finally be honest with Seth and Seth's unwavering belief that anyone can change for the better that led them to save the day. Neither was completely right, but that both fought for the better is what led them to victory.
Okay, I agree.
Huh?
I've alluded to it every now and then, but ZZZ has another theme that it seems to be working with alongside ones I've already discussed. Trust in the idea of time passing often also finds itself tied to stories about mortality and the nature of life itself. What is considered alive and what we humans qualify as living is always discussed in stories involving AI. And for the character of Qingyi, there's no better way to discuss this. Qingyi is doing the rounds for a new initiative started by Zhuyuan to gain the public's approval by doing community service. Qingyi doesn't see the worth in it and just runs on autopilot, running into Bell and Wise who are watching a film called Endbringer 2, a film about an android protecting a girl in the apocalypse yet being forced to part ways. As an android herself who has lived for years, Qingyi doesn't see the worth in such a story, as her views on life and what is considered alive are based on her experience. She and androids like the Bangboo are merely replaceable tools who will go away when they serve their purpose. It's why she's confused when Zhuyuan urges her not to hurt herself and why she doesn't understand why a little girl named Holly cares so much for her Bangboo named Teddy. She thinks at first, like Holly's dad suggests, that they could just replace the Bangboo, but Holly insists that she knows everything about her best friend and couldn't ever abandon him. So finally reinvigorated by this realization, Qingyi goes into the Hollow to find the Bangboo hunters who stole him away. After rescuing Teddy and the numerous damaged Bangboo that were stolen, she finally realizes something that she failed to realize for the years she's been alive.
Humans. Such an interesting species. These aren't living creatures. Yet they won't abandon them, no matter what. This obsession, longing, and suffering. Is that what life truly is?
This theme that's been present in Until Your Memory Fades in Chapter 2 is made front and center here. Humans will see things that are pragmatically unimportant. Something like a Bangboo is temporary, but it's the memories that we experience with them that matter. It's the weight that's placed upon something so trivial that makes that thing so irreplaceable. They matter to us. They have memories built from the past that give us joy in the now, and we refuse to abandon them as we continue to go forward. Qingyi simply never realized this until now.
Activate the connection.
And with that, we are all caught up. While what we've received in 1.1 was mostly character and world building, I don't think we'll get real story material until 1.2 and the introduction of Caesar, Bernice, and the Sons of Caledon, as Perlman has escaped into the Outer Rim and Bell and Wise need a connection. There is so much in ZZZ that is yet to be explored, but I can only make a few guesses. Namely, the Cunning Hares have memories that all tie to other factions and potential factions. Nekomata has a past with the Red Fang Gang, and I doubt we will never see that faction in the future that will be built on. Ambi clearly has a connection to Soldier 11, as seen from her character demo and Soldier 11's hatred of traitors. We also know Soldier 11's Oval Squad teammate who was a sniper that helps us during the agent story, so we can look forward to that as well. But most notably, Billy is revealed throughout the current story to have a reputation as a biker in the Outer Ring, and we now know he was with the Sons of Caledon, so here's our connection to them being introduced in 1.2. There's also blatantly material for Section 6 that is yet to be explored, as we've already been introduced to them and Miyabi seems extremely important to the story. There's also this idol group. That's cool. Don't know what to make of that, but I can only look forward to what ZZZ has in store because if nothing else, it's given me a lot to talk about and potentially make more videos on. I'm definitely making up a follow-up to this once 1.2 is out. But that's the end of this video. Thank you guys for watching another video by yours truly, BooSham0. Again, if you want more videos just like this, make sure you like the video, comment down below what you think of ZZZ so far, and hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything like this. I'm planning on making more game-focused content, and this was just a very big passion project I wanted to make. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.